they're losing, like that all these cases are going through and they're gonna go to Supreme Court and they're gonna lose, they're still pushing that narrative, dude. They're gonna push that shit to the very end, bro. They will not stop pushing that narrative.
That's assuming that they're going. Oh, so today I was telling Luis today. So we're
Bro,
live
all
on
the
YouTube.
evidence that's out right now, bro, about voter fraud, bro, is laughable. It's like, bro, these motherfuckers cheated. It's like
Only,
not even.
only if the shit stands up in court. I get what you're saying.
No,
So
no, 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 no. Yeah, no. I'm talking about from you. If you analyze it, they're banked. I mean, if the Supreme Court can always, be deep state ass motherfuckers and definitely turn down the case. Yeah, that's true. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen.
all right. So yeah, I mean it is. Oh, and then I apparently I was listening to a podcast today with a guy. He goes by he goes by what the fuck, Hotep Jesus, and he's like a tech genius. Fucking, he's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on the number one Bitcoin podcast in the world. But he is not conservative nor a liberal. He just leans more conservative. So obviously, liberal media doesn't fuck with him. Nick, just so you know, you are muted. I'm just sending out the live. Any of y'all who got y'all phones, share it on fucking social media. I'm gonna send this to the group with you too, Nick. I got hello WhatsApp groups, Nick. Um, so today I am going to be taking the perspective of a skeptic, right? I'm going to go ahead and get the recording started. All right, guys. This is another one of our live streams, which we just started doing a little bit more recently. We've been having some traction. Typically, we do our live streams on Facebook. Today, we're doing it on YouTube, just to give us a little bit more time with post-production. Luis, your virtual background looks so good in comparison to mine. I might need to start using that one. I don't know why yours looks so good. It looks fucking clean. Nick, that is a painting that we actually have in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm where the painting is. He is not where the painting is.
Yeah.
Really? And his looks better than yours?
His looks clean as fuck, right?
Well, yours is the real one. The one I have is just the custom work we have in the studio.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a few different things today, guys. Obviously, it's this week in election affairs and the global economic reset. The reason that I want to talk about election affairs, obviously, there is such a polarizing topic. There's so many different opinions on it. I'm going to be taking a different stance from what people who are familiar with me probably would normally think. And just for the sake of conversation, it makes no sense if we're all in agreement on everything. So sometimes the people need to hear the other side. Also, we're going to talk about a few just like weird things in like pop culture this week. One of the first things is a video that got shared with me. I do want to show you guys this video because I think it is fucking wild that I just got to show it to you guys and then we'll go from there. I believe, so this is a DJ and his name's DJ Nefitz.
Hey, can I stop for like a second? So
what's up?
I'm going to be getting up and like walking back and forth. I can still hear you, but I'm going to be walking around because I'm watching my son right now. So if I hear a big bang, I got to run over there. So. Right.
Hey, it's perfectly fine. Luis is the only one here without kids, which is rare for a Mexican
Very
of his
rare.
age.
Very unique. I'm a unique individual.
So this girl, what's her name? Diamond Dosage is her name, or her brand, and this is her podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and share it.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah, you guys have seen it. I don't know if Nick has seen it, so we're gonna share it, and then we're just gonna talk about this real quick. This is fucking absurd to me. But here we go.
Propaganda.
You guys have seen it. I don't know if Nick has seen it, so we're gonna share it, and then we're just gonna go ahead and this real quick.
I told my homie, I was like, bro, I'm gonna have to forgive. We gotta get to the point where your forgiveness level is so high
Here we
to the
go.
point where
How do we get there?
you just
You guys
gotta
cannot
get
hear it,
there.
can you?
And
So
it is,
here,
and
and
you
then
just
I'm
gotta
gonna
get
go ahead
there.
and
You gotta get to the
I
point
told
where
my
I
homie, I
was
was
like,
like,
bro,
Business
your
is
wife,
what's
you gotta get to
happening
the
here.
point
Can
where
you
your
guys hear?
forgiveness level is so high.
I can't
To
hear
the
it at
point
all.
where
How do we get there?
you just
You guys
gotta
cannot
get
hear it,
there.
can you?
And
It's like on
it
loop.
is, you just gotta get there. You gotta get to the
I
point
told
where
my
I hear,
homie,
I
I
hear
was
both.
like,
both.
we just
your
stop
wife,
it.
you gotta get to the
Yeah, I
point where
did
your
stop
forgiveness
it.
level is
Actually,
so
I did stop
high.
it. Is it still going?
There we go.
All right.
That was
So
wild.
Bro,
yeah, I don't-
why is it? No, that shit tweet me the fuck out, bro. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, bro?
What was that?
so long story short, I guess we'll really skip that. But basically, I was with him. It's a really short clip. I was with him at the beginning of it. He was basically talking about forgiveness, and this was a conversation that we actually had a
Bro, I
couple
would
of.
be down for you to play it. I don't know what happened though. Something was going on, but yeah, I mean that's definitely a
Let,
wild
let,
video.
let me try again then.
Yeah.
Everybody should probably mute themselves, maybe.
Yeah, that might help.
All right.
Wild video.
Let me try again. All right. So do you guys see it? Just give me a
Everybody
thumbs
should
up if
probably
you see
mute
it.
themselves, maybe.
All right. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that
hit play on it and see if you can hear it. If not,
All
we're
right.
just gonna have this conversation
Oh,
without.
I told my homie, I was
let me
like,
try
bro,
again.
you're gonna have to forgive.
All
You
right,
gotta
so
get to
do
the
you
point
guys
where your
see it?
forgiveness level is
Just
so
give me a thumbs
high
up if you see
to
it.
the point where
How do we
All right,
get
so I'm
there?
gonna
you
hit
just
play on
gotta
it and see
get
if you
there.
can hear it.
And it is,
If not,
you
we're
just
just
gotta
gonna have
get
this
there. You
conversation
gotta get to
without.
the point
told
where
my
homie, I was like, bro, you gonna have your to wife, forgive.
All
You gotta
right,
get
so
to the
do you
point
guys
where
see
your
it?
on forgiveness camera level is so
Give me a
high.
thumbs up
Like, we
if
keep
you
And
sending
see
you
it.
on loop. Like
your wife,
Your
Your wife,
hearing
no,
me on
stop.
I don't know why that's
You
happening. That
gotta
doesn't
get to the
usually
point
happen.
where
So we're gonna
I
stop
was
it.
like, bro, you gonna
Fuck
have
that
to
video then, but that will be a problem when we want to show evidence
we
later
keep you
if
on
it's
loop.
any type of
Like,
videos. So I would rather get that
wife,
figured
Your
out
wife,
now.
no, stop.
I don't know why that's happening. That doesn't usually happen. So we're gonna stop
yeah,
it.
I keep hearing this dude in the background, bro.
All right, so I'm gonna share one more time and pick a different option and let me see if this helps. All right, so how about now? Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right, now let me know if you can hear it. Can't hear it, right?
No, I can't hear it.
Long story short, basically what this dude is saying is if we have to get to the point of forgiveness that if your girl cheats on you, get some on camera, get some money shot. Like for those of you who are not pornography watchers, a money shot is where the human excrement that comes from sexual activity is actually on the face of typically it's a woman, but I don't think it has to be. But that's what he's talking about in this scenario. He said when she comes home, you need to just go ahead and wipe her face off and give her a kiss and delve into that forgiveness the way that you're supposed to. Now, I personally think that we all, especially as men, need to learn how to deal with our emotions a little bit better. We need to learn how to forgive and let go of some of our, past trauma and stuff like that. But at the same time, even when I showed my wife the video, she was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Because when you're married, and he said your wife, when you're married or in a long-term relationship or just in any type of committed relationship, one of the foundations to that relationship, in my eyes, is trust. And if your wife felt the need to go out here and do fucking, I don't even know how, I'm trying to use the proper verbiage, but I don't know what to say outside of do dicks. Like, I don't know. I couldn't forgive. Like that's just me. I'm not that forgiving. That's just
I
the
feel
person
you,
that I
bro.
am.
I feel you with that. I feel you with that. Especially not even just that, but the extent that this particular dude, DJ Netflix or whatever, was going to, like,
Right.
I feel like he was definitely tripping, but that would just be my opinion on that issue. Like, there's no way, like, you could come home and then, see your wife giving another dude head. And
No, you didn't come home. You saw a video, and then
video?
she came home. Yeah, and then she came home.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Same thing. I couldn't see myself.
That's not even what this specific podcast is about. Since that didn't work out for us, I'll let everybody give their opinions on that, and then we'll just move on to the next topic real quick.
Yeah, it'd be no forgiveness for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an agreement, right? So,
Well, maybe
yeah, you can
forgiveness,
forgive, but I mean, you
but you
broke
can't.
that
Yeah, it's not in
trust.
that same capacity. Like,
Yeah,
I gotta move on with my life now. You have a good one. I forgive you though, but you don't. We don't have to ever have a conversation ever again. You.
So I think it's like I think there's two different questions. Like, there's a subtext and then there's the actual text. So there's like, are you gonna forgive her and stay with her, and or are you gonna forgive her and just move on, and you're gonna have to move on without her. So those are two separate questions, and that all depends on the person. But I would say that if the underlying meaning is just the forgiveness and that's it, only the forgiveness, and whether or not you're gonna stay with her or not, that's gonna be a different topic, a different subject. But if it's just the forgiveness, I do agree that because I mean, all in all, it's just going to be toxic. It's going to be unhealthy for you to carry that, So I think it's an obvious statement. Like it's an obvious thing that everybody should agree. Like, you should forgive and you should move forward. Now it depends on how you're going to move forward. If you're going to move forward with that person or without that person. Now, in my personal opinion, if I were put myself in that person's shoes, in the last podcast that I was a part of, we were talking about this, like a similar scenario. And I said it depends on the situation, depends on how she went about the cheating. And if it was intentional and it was with all like disregard to how you feel and all that shit, then at that point in time, I wouldn't obviously I'm not going to condone it, but I wouldn't be able to see her the same way and say, okay, this is my partner, this is a person that's supposed to have my back, like that's all out the window at that point. So
I got to give you some pushback there, Nick, just because how do you cheat non-intentionally?
So like when I was telling you the different scenarios before, so like if it was you got too wasted, right? You got too wasted and then you woke up with the other person or whatever. That's, not to say that it's completely not your fault or anything. I'm not justifying your actions, but I would be more if my girl were to tell me that, I would be more like susceptible to like understanding and hearing her out and seeing what it was that led her to that action. Now, if it was mistakes that led her to that action, then I can move forward with that. But if it was, blatant, like I'm just gonna do this, it depends on why it was that she was gonna do it. So I mean, if it's like somebody was recording her doing that and then they sent it to me and then she were to get home, I wouldn't be able to hear her out. Like, and I would tell her straight up, and I've had that happen before. I tell her straight up, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to understand. I'm just not going to be able to. And that's just my limit to what I can withstand as a person. I wouldn't be able to do it. You're muted.
So I actually just realized why you guys were probably hearing the video twice, because I have my audio input, like output. It was through the speakers, but the speaker wasn't actually on, and I wasn't getting it through here. Only Zoom is through here. So that's probably the reason for that. So then if we can play another video, we should be good there. I just went ahead and muted that in the background. But we'll definitely get to that. And before we get to this week in election affairs, because I'm pretty sure that that's probably going to be the longest segment, I did do an episode earlier this week. And dude, to be completely honest, neither me nor the guest knows how they ended up on the podcast. It was actually the first Money Talk episode that we rolled out with. And his name, he ended up being like, it's funny, like he's like an older white guy. He's a financial consultant, business manager, fucking author. He's got multiple books. He got audio books. His name's John Truman Wolf. And if you actually were to like look him up and shit on YouTube or something like that, like you would see this dude's been on Fox News, all types of shit. And he basically just spent like 45 minutes. Oh no, our episode might have been a little bit over an hour where he's just basically dropping gems on me about the precious metal market and cryptocurrency, decentralized cryptocurrency, as opposed to what they are now rolling out, which is central bank cryptocurrency. I think that it's an extremely informational episode. I don't know shit about investing. You know, I always invest in me, but now that I got my kid and shit, I'm, you know, really thinking about long-term investments, and I don't really trust the stock market. But precious metals and lithium, he talked about lithium because he was like, you got to think like lithium might be the new oil. You know, with everything moving toward electric cars, electric forms of transportation, eventually boats and planes will be electric to some degree. All of those things, including our smartphones, anything with a rechargeable battery has a lithium battery. So lithium is actually something just like precious metals that you can actually invest in. It was really interesting. I definitely think Luis, everyone should check it out. I think that's right up Luis's alley. Nick, I don't know
definitely.
to what degree. Yeah, I don't know to what degree anybody else invests.
You have to think about all the cell phones on top of that. I believe cell phones use lithium energy too for the batteries. Apple has probably made over 1 billion phones at this point. So think about all the lithium there. Think about just the weight of what 1 billion iPhones would weigh. Now think about a Tesla. Think about all the electric vehicles that are coming out. Semi trucks are going to be electric. That all requires battery, and battery requires the lithium, right? So it could potentially be the new oil. And then you also have to think about what other technologies there's going to be in the future, because you can also think about, there was like the actual Tesla had a system where you can run something that is electrically powered without a cord. You would just need it to be within a certain distance to the power source, I believe. It's kind of like wireless charging now. So that might come to fruition if they actually release that technology. So, but lithium would definitely be something to invest in right now.
Last thing, so he breaks it down. We get into so much of the conversation, so much about it. We get in depth. I screen share, so I show people exactly the types. Oh, you know what? Actually, the video is going to be a little bit different, and I got to put that because he wasn't able. He had some audio difficulties, whatever reason. He couldn't get his mic to work, so he had to actually call into the Zoom. So whenever he's talking, because the Zoom was on speaker view, it just shows his phone number. And obviously, I don't want to put this man's phone number out. So go listen to the audio, people. We'll figure out how we get to the video. Only other thing I really wanted to talk about before we got into the topics in the title is I am fucking furious about this PlayStation 5 situation. I am so pissed right now. Like I waited. I was online. I found out like a week ago Walmart was going to have some new ones, online only orders today at 2 p.m. I'm literally on the website, on the item, signed into my account. I press refresh at like 1:59 and 30 seconds, right? And it refreshed until like 2 o'clock and like 15 seconds. And by that time, all of them were fucking sold out. I continuously refreshed to the point where I guess some got rejected, and it's like, oh, hurry up and buy. There's only 2 left. I go through the process, get to the point where you're clicking fucking checkout, and it's like, oh, type in your password. I set that password up like 2 fucking years ago. I had to send a verification code, all types of stupid shit. And then by the time I get back, it's like, oh, they're all gone. And all of this happens within like between like 2 o'clock and 2:04. Like, how are they just allowing bots to buy everything? because that's what it is bots are just purchasing every single fucking thing that's out there. And honestly, if any of you who rock with the network, rock with us, don't even rock with us, I don't even care if you got a price that makes sense. If you'll create a bot for me so I could get what I need, come on, man, I'll pay. But I won't, because that was a joke, and this is jest because I think that shit is illegal.
You're
was
always
a-
better to be
that
on
was
the
a
safe
joke.
side. So yes, do not take this at your own discretion. Thank you.
At your exactly what Luis said. Were any of you? Nobody here. I know Luis and Henry aren't. Well, Henry's a gamer, but I know he's focused on a million different things right now because he's building a business. Nick, are you a gamer? Were you able to get any of the new consoles?
Nah, I'm not a gamer. I mean, I bought the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but I mean, I bought it just so I could have it, and I would love to play games, but honestly, I'm just so busy. Like, I'm constantly busy. Now that I've had more free time, I've been like playing League. I don't know if you know that, League of Legends on the computer again. But besides that, I can't really get into games. Like, I play one game and I'm like done mentally. I can't even do that.
I've heard of League of Legends. I'm not like super familiar with League of Legends. But we're really gonna get into this whole election thing. And I was at first gonna call this a Scarecrow's Wish, make this one of our conspiracy facts podcasts, but I'm not gonna do that. We're essentially talking current events. But the number one current event right now, in all reality, is this whole election situation. We talked about the global economic reset a little bit, and essentially what that means is we're moving from a society that has cash, although it is fiat currency. If you want to know more about fiat currency, go and listen to that podcast that I did with John Truman Wolf. It's called Money Talk, Global Economic Reset. And we just released that earlier this week. Go check that episode out. It's there's a lot to learn there, but we're moving from fiat currency, paper money, to complete digital currency. And why that has implications is because, for example, I'm not saying any of you guys do, but if any of you were the type of people who partook in, for example, THC, weed, or coke, or whatever it may be, and you don't buy it through a dispensary because you're not in Oregon, and you need to purchase it, you can't purchase. And even if you have figured out like there's a means for you to transfer your funds, now the central banking system, this is who runs all of our banks. The central banking system can now track all the cryptocurrency you gave that stripper, and that stripper then goes to her coke dealer, and their coke dealer then goes to his physician, and his physician then goes to his high-end escort. All of this can be tracked the entire way through, and that just kind of, to me, that creates an issue.
Yeah, I sent a link over Time Magazine, the reset, so the collection thing, so you could probably screen share some of those so you can see what they're talking about.
That I will do, sir. Thank you for that. All right. So, guys, what are you thinking about this whole cryptocurrency boom? And it's not like we can do anything about it. It's absolutely happening. But what are you guys' thoughts on the global economic reset?
I think that it was planned. And
oh, go ahead.
It's some bullshit, bro. They trying to make us all a one world society. They want to keep us locked down. They want to keep us, they want to keep us at home. Basically, man, is what they own, and they definitely trying to, because
they don't need crypto to do that. They got COVID.
Yeah, this is all backed by the central banking system, bro. So
right,
they ass is trying to basically get the whole, and we're basically their slaves now under their system when it comes to we our whole existence when it comes financially is usually off of credit, and that's where we owe the ass bread. Like everyone, our ability to be able to get houses or get whatever the fuck is all based off of credit. So we can't even really own our own shit, or they make it very difficult to do that in their system. And they're going to make it even harder for us. But You know,
Something else to think about is that the real cryptocurrency
hey, go to
was
that.
meant.
It's 2023. I'm sorry, Louis. It's 2023. That one, bro. It was written a couple weeks ago. Just read the shit. Like they was talking about first.
Go ahead with what you were saying, Luis. I'm gonna scroll through it for the people
Just
who are
that
viewing.
the crypto was meant to be decentralized, so that goes to show you that the people that are in power, they're trying to use this and take advantage of it and make sure that they are the ones that are backing all of it. They're the ones that are in control. They're not gonna. It's not going to be a true decentralized cryptocurrency like a Bitcoin is, or like Litecoin or Ethereum or whatever else is out there. It's going to be a completely new name. It's not like you're going to be paying with Bitcoin. It's just going to be the means of which it's transacted. So it's kind of scary to think about one currency for the global population. And perfect. Everyone played their part, right? A pandemic is let go, and everyone gets scared, gets to stay home, and now, hey, we have to rethink the way we do things. How perfect, right? You found your
Right.
solution to the problem that clearly isn't, to me, clearly isn't that bad. The survival rate is still 99.99%. Do the math, go on the CDC website, and the numbers speak for themselves. The
I think
scientific
I think
method.
I think you're wrong. I do got to give you some pushback there. Today, I'm
On what?
going to be. I think
On
it's
what?
99.997, sir. I'm pretty sure if you're under 50.
99.997.
Yeah, I think it's 99.997.
997. I apologize on that. What did I say? 999.
Yeah, I think you said something along those lines.
Okay.
But as we're talking, I'm just on the website showing people who may not have seen. You can listen to the podcast on the website. We do delve further into these topics on the actual website. Definitely check us out. Let us know any improvements you think we need to make. Henry has pretty much really killed it with what we have available in our e-commerce store. So definitely go in, check some of our stuff out. We got some dope shit. It's a really good way to support us. We really appreciate every single person that listens, downloads, streams, every person who hops in, like Nick, who's not even like a podcaster himself, but every time he's free and available and it's a conversation he wants to be a part of, he hops in. The best way to support us, if you can, is definitely just go pick you something up. Pick up some Christmas presents. We got a ton of dope shit. Everything from baby onesies to hats. We got women's apparel. We got men's apparel. Every logo or design you've ever seen us come up with, like my Nas son right here. Y'all probably thought I was wearing a NASA jacket. Not at all. This is our Nas son. And that goes along with my NASA moon landing. Luis actually did that episode with me a little bit over a year ago. We just re-released it. It's actually doing more numbers now, Luis, since we re-released it.
I was called a flat earther, even though I wasn't.
Even though you were literally pushing back on everything that I was saying?
Yeah, I'm a flat earther now.
You are
just to be on you, just to sit next to you. I'm a flat earther, flat earther by association.
Which I'm not even a flat earther. I believe in the infinite realm theory, which is a completely different thing. And if you want to learn more about that, go check out my episode that I did with Asir, the Duke of Tears. It's called Freemasonry Exposed. Nick, I think you'll like that episode. There's a lot of occult history there. Like, for example, did you know that Beyonce was Italian by way of Ethiopia?
No, I did not.
I know you didn't. I didn't either. But you, like, as the interviewee was talking about it, I pulled up, the receipts, like everything that he was talking about, because a lot of the claims that he made could easily be contested. So I made it a point to have him give me a book list of his sources. And what's really funny about this gentleman, Asir, the Duke of Tears is his title, is I've been listening to him for a while now, and there's been times where I've had his books that he told me, like, oh, go grab, not me. He told his followers to go and grab these books, and they'd be expensive, like $200, $300. And then he would do a YouTube lecture and it would get thousands of views. I would go to Amazon, put the book in my cart, And then I work a commission job. I would be waiting till I got commission, got some extra funds, and then boom, go grab them. On multiple occasions, books that I only had sitting in my cart because he told me about it would go from $200, $300 to I've seen books go up to $1,900 after like it got popular because of his lectures. And to me, I view that as an obvious attempt to control information.
You think so? Or maybe it could be just supply and demand, as popular as he is, so many people buy him and they're trying to grab him up. And then because it's increasing in sales, they just start jacking the price up.
I understand what you're saying, and that's a very logical, rational conclusion to come to. I think you would need to listen to his episode and then see what you make of it. I've just noticed it multiple times with him, and
my interpretation of that is that, obviously when you're trying to acquire knowledge that they don't want you to know, they're going to jack the prices up on that. Like,
Whoa, Henry, you sound conspiratorial. Who's they?
Well, one, I take pride in being called conspiratorial since I know the origination of the term. But two, we did start this out at SCW, so I gotta talk my shit. But
and I'm here for it. Open dialogue at all times. And that's like, I really hate it when people say, stop sharing conspiracy theories. You don't need to stop sharing them. Other people just come with the facts and explain why they're wrong.
Look, I'm only going off of what I see and going off facts. So, but when you get to a certain point where you start learning and seeing what's really happening, you see that these people literally try to lie to you through the media. All the mainstream media is pretty much all bullshit. And until people can grasp their head around it, it's why it's hard to understand certain things, because people always have like the levels of, wokeness, type shit. And
we actually did get a comment from One Light Records when we were talking about Bitcoin. I actually just wasn't checking the comments. That's on me. But he said, big brother, people have become self-sufficient in order to avoid the taxation and tracking of everything they do. People have to become self-sufficient. And
wasn't that George Orwell?
Probably. Like 1984, George Orwell. It probably is.
I think that's one of them.
A lot of George Orwell seems to be really prevalent today because it seems like, honestly, it just seems like they're on dirt with us. You know what I'm saying? Like it to some degree. And while we're on the topic, guys, President-elect Joe Biden says that he has the plan to bring us out of all of this. What are your guys' thoughts on everything? Before I say any opinions about anything I would like to hear all of you guys' opinions.
I think we should take, Henry go first.
So Joe Biden's got what? So hold on. So ask the question one more time so I know how to attack it real quick. So
President-elect Joe Biden's has been hosting these live stream things, and apparently he has plans for both how to solve the COVID pandemic and the current economic crisis and fix our standing with the internet, our foreign relations.
Yeah. So we know he's telling the truth when he says he's trying to, improve our foreign relations. So he's trying to sell us out, which he's been doing, and not just him, that whole other side of motherfuckers. That's what they do. They've been selling us out to different countries. So, yeah. And so when you
we will have to come back to that. I'm going to let everybody get their points. I'm going to write down all the points of each person that I feel the need to respond to for now.
Got you. I'm not going to delve too deep initially. I'm just going to answer each question individually, I guess. But the COVID, depending on what level of research you've done, but if you've done enough research, you see it was obviously what I call a scamdemic, and I do want to say that the virus, I do believe is real, but we just know that the mortality rate is extremely, extremely low. It rivals the flu and the cold when it comes to killing people. So it doesn't actually kill people. So you get sick like we do all year long. It's just another strain of a bullshit virus that we get yearly anyways. But yeah, so they pushed. So the mainstream media, the same people that are lying right now about who won the elections, because you know all the evidence, and I'm just going off the evidence. I'm not going off of evidence is showing that Trump won in a landslide fashion when it comes to, that they had to cheat at a enormous scale, change the Dominion system changing 38 million votes just to even win by a small percentage. You know, they're lying now. They've been lying this whole time about the whole pandemic and everything. So if you get to a certain point, you realize that you shouldn't be surprised the media lies. That's all they've been doing this entire time. You know, Isaiah knows and Luis knows. I don't know if you know, Nick, but Operation Mockingbird. You know, you just look that up. If you have trouble believing that your media will lie to you, just look up Operation Mockingbird, please. Just look it up for yourself, and you know, and just understand that these people, you know, all they do is the propaganda. It's bullshit, bullshit. You literally can't take anything they say at face value. You literally have to look into it for yourself, or see see a speech for yourself and then analyze it. Make your own opinion based off what he says, but don't let a media outlet just give you a dumbed down version of what someone said and then tell you what to think about it. Just think for yourself. Basically, it's all we try to get across to people. But
So I
if I
went
had
ahead
to,
and shared Operation
yeah, if I had to
Mockingbird on
wrap
the
it up in a
screen.
nutshell, just the media is going. There should be the mainstream media should be the last people you should be trying to get information from. Is all I'm saying. If you want to get the truth, but that's just me. But I'll let someone else talk though. This conspiracy shit gets me riled up.
So Nick, how about you? Before Luis goes, how do you feel about the current political climate and everything that is going on, and President-elect Biden, as corporate media would call it?
I mean, I think honestly, I just feel like the whole political like spectrum is all just a game to be played. I do believe like with all my knowledge on this earth, I do believe that they are just people. They're not evil beings. They're not aliens or anything like that. They are just people, and they're looking out for themselves. Now it's just a matter of looking out for yourself while benefiting other people. So you having a business, um, you you look out for yourself, right? You want to make sure that the business thrives. That way you come out with a profit, but at the same time, because you're a good person, you want to also make sure that your employees and everybody that's around you, is also equally as successful, probably not in profit, but just equally as successful, right? And I feel like that's the same thing that a president would want. Is on the back ends they would be doing their dirt and getting paid, but at the same time they're also trying to make the country better. So in terms of like Biden, I think Biden sways a little bit more on the spectrum of himself more than the country, versus Trump. Everybody says so many bad things about Trump, but as far as the economy goes, he did one of the greatest jobs that has ever been done. I mean, as far
Up,
as
up until COVID.
up until COVID, yeah. And even COVID, like the COVID, for the pandemic to, close down, thousands and thousands of all these different businesses. And then as soon as they open back up, they're booming more than ever. And then, it's just a matter of the governor closing it back down. But I do believe that Trump this in my mind, Trump thinks of it as kind of like a game where, okay, everybody in the country will benefit, which means everybody in the country will have more money in their pocket, which means more people can go to my hotels and can buy my merchandise and can buy the shit that I sell. So it's going to benefit them, but it's also going to benefit me tremendously. Whereas Biden doesn't really have that backing. And I feel like Biden would say, if people are going to suffer slightly more, but I can make millions from this foreign official, or I can make millions from big pharma, or I can make millions from whereas Trump doesn't really need the quote unquote millions from that. He already has enough money. He just wants more money officially. He doesn't want it unofficially because he doesn't need it unofficially.
So to some degree, you think Biden's more so trying to hit the short-term come up, and Trump's in it for the long haul because he don't need the short change.
For sure, exactly. And then as far as your main question though, as far as Biden goes, I don't believe he has any idea on what he's going to do about the pandemic. I think he's going to go along with what the plan is already enacted. And it's so funny that as soon as he gets you know, crowned, I guess, president elect, out of nowhere, that's when this
Pfizer.
yeah, that's when all that shit comes out, and there's not one, but there's two different
So for those who aren't familiar, just to give a little bit of context to what you're talking to, for months now, Trump has been saying, you know, they got well-working, highly effective vaccines in the chamber ready to rock out. He was trying to get them to release prior to the elections, because obviously a certain amount of people, their only critique of him is his handling of COVID, and a certain amount of people are only going to feel safe once a vaccine comes out. Some people believe that the only reason that Pfizer and Moderna and these companies only released their vaccine news after Biden was announced president-elect was for political reasons. That is the topic of which you are speaking to, right, Nick?
Yes. So he can get the credit. I mean, it's just the same as they don't, for some odd reason, they don't want to release more stimulus checks, but that's just because whose name is in the bottom of the stimulus check. You know, I work in a bank, and the name on the check says President Donald J. Trump or Donald Trump, and I just think that, you know, they want to push it as far as they can go until the point where he can release the stimulus checks, and then it's going to say his name on it. And you know, as far as that being like a conspiracy theory, I think that it's extremely valid to do it that way. That way, he has the public on his side. If you have the public on your side, and you'll automatically have the Congress on your side because they're Democrat, and then you don't have the Senate nor the Supreme Court. You need the public, so you would want to, you know, hedge your bets, or you would want to set up the dominoes in your favor for future, you know, progression. So I feel like all this, he doesn't actually have a plan. He's going to do the exact same thing that Trump was already doing, because there's only so many options that you can do. It's not like you can open everything up, and it's not like you can close everything down. You're going to do it in moderation, and that's what Trump's been doing. Besides the, you know, the governors going back on it. So, but yeah, as far as the pandemic goes and the economy, I don't think he really has any legitimate plans. But I do want to look up. I just wanted to say, for Henry, I do want to look up Operation Mockingbird. I think that's going to be interesting.
I did an episode a couple of months back. You could go check out. It's called You're Brainwashed, and Here's Why. And I kind of, for hardcore conspiracy theorists, you're probably going to know the majority of the information. For people who are not into conspiracies at all, definitely go check it out. Operation Mockingbird was one of quite a few different things that I talked about in that presentation. And I'm always interested to know what people's opinions are. I'm always interested in any intellectual sparring for anybody who has any pushback for me. I don't, because people disagree with me, I don't fucking feel any type of way about you. I just am I'm not even trying to convince people of shit. I'm just sharing to you how I got to the conclusions that I got and what information shaped my mind frame.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but look, I'm not a gullible person at all, but my presupposition is that it's already true, because just looking at how much they bombarded President Trump, look at how much the media has really attacked him, and especially just over that COVID, over the vaccine, how much a lot of news stations, literally the people that they were interviewing, called him dumb for saying that he could release it by this time. And everybody was saying, no, it's going to be next year. And they said that he didn't know what he was talking about. They were saying that all the time.
It's been this entire.
But it's how much they bombarded him, like how frequent it was, and how much the accusation, they were all trumped up, like saying that he was stupid, saying that he's going against science, and all this stuff. And then it happens, and it's just so quiet. Like the media didn't cover it at all. They didn't say, oh my God, I can't believe Trump can do this or anything like that. They just kind of just, let it go. And they're like, okay, well, we were wrong about that, but we're not going to talk about that. which is weird.
They only will talk about what they want to talk about. The only thing they're going to play is the narrative they want. But Days, I forgot to answer that question just real quick with Biden's plan or whatever. We know what plan he's going to. He's doing the reset. You know, on Time Magazine, they already basically said what the fuck is going to happen.
Not just Time Magazine. So the central banking systems, the central like. For those of you who don't know, again, please go back and check out my episode, Global Economic Reset, with John Truman Wolf. Before I even delve into that, Henry, you think that his plan is to just speed up the global economic reset, which I actually believe is happening regardless of who's in power, but how it happens and how that information comes across to the people is what is going to make the difference. Luis, before we delve even further down that rabbit hole, let us know where you are on today's current political climate and what you think about President-elect Biden and his plans for creating committees to handle COVID and the economy.
Regarding Biden, he's been in office for 47 years, counting, and more power to you. You've done great service to society, to this country. It's time to hang up your jacket and live your civilian life. I don't think Biden is the appropriate person to lead this country, seeing as he hasn't really done much in 47 years. I don't foresee him doing anything different other than what we're accustomed to. I also think that Harris will probably call a lot of shots as well. And he is, I would want to say, a little overtly racist versus out in the open racist. I'm going to give you some quotes and let me know what you think. If my opponent wins, they're going to put y'all back in chains. Joe Biden during the 2012 campaign cycle.
Who's he talking to?
Liberal rally. Unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle, a racial jungle. Joe Biden on desegregating schools in 1977. I wasn't alive. So
my brother was alive in the 70s. That was like that's late 70s. So that's after the hippie era free love shit.
This is a recent one. If you're having trouble figuring out if you're for me or you're for Trump, then you ain't black, right? That was this year with Charlemagne, right?
That was this year.
For the listeners, we had a whole debate. Well, it wasn't a debate. We just talked like Trump versus Biden. Who's more racist?
It turned debate-ish because we were drinking and it was election night. That's a live stream.
No, that was a different night. So this is talking about the debates. They had a debate. Remember?
Oh, I don't think we released that episode.
We did. We released one of them for sure. Yeah, it's called Trump versus Biden.
Oh, Trump. Oh no, yeah, it's called
Who's more racist?
Yeah, who's more racist? Who's more racist? The second one was pussy grabbers versus kitty sniffers.
Yeah, but the first one was who's more racist, and we cover a lot of that. We know off bat. Like, I'm not even gonna give Biden the credit of saying he did a good service in 47 years. I pride myself on being an authentic individual, and fuck Joe Biden. Yeah. In 47 years, he's been.
Let's let Luis finish his point.
Yeah, fuck Joe Biden.
So just to give you context of how he looks at the world, poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. So that right there, all white kids are not poor, right? That's how he sees the world.
Yeah, he did say that shit.
Here's another one. When he was asked on integrating schools, which he opposed late in the late 70s, he was asked the question, I do not buy the concept popular in the 60s, which he said, we have suppressed the black man for 300 years. So he has, here's a good one about his partner, Barack. You got the first mainstream African-American who is articulate, bright, and clean. Isn't that a good one?
Yeah,
Isn't that a good one? Isn't that a good one? But, he has all the answers, right? He's been around for 47 years. He has the answers. For whatever reason, during the recession in 2008, he didn't want to give the answers out. A lot of people lost their jobs as well, but he was holding the answers back, right? He knew that 2020 was coming. So now he's going to give the answers. And, we're just blessed that, now he's deciding to actually do something. And, we're just very lucky. In regard to the office of president-elect, that's a made-up office. There is no legal backing behind it. There is no, it's like Federal Express, for you to think that Federal Express is a government agency.
Or the Federal Reserve, for that matter.
No official sources. Because
For
the media said it.
So for those who don't know, like how Luis said, Federal Express, the Federal Reserve would be a different example of that exact same thing, right, Luis?
Yeah. So there's also the GSA, the General Services Administration, that I believe that's what it stands for. But they are the actual government entity that starts to release funding to the certified president that is elect, right? If it's a change in administration, they start to release funds and they get, inside knowledge, they get the transitional communication that they need to have. That hasn't happened yet, right? That has not happened. They're supposed to release $9 million or so. Hasn't been released yet. It's been over a week. Money hasn't been released yet. What's going on, right? You're hearing all these different things that are coming to light as far as election, how the outcome was. And, we just need to be patient and see how it plays out. But I do not believe that Biden is the appropriate person to lead this country, given his past and his current health, and just the way he can't hold a press conference. Like, I listened to Trump on Rush Limbaugh for 2 hours live. I don't believe Biden has the energy to do that.
I don't. From what people say, I don't know how true it is, but from what is said, Trump doesn't actually script his speeches either, correct?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure he has some sort of. He has
probably an outline.
Yeah, he has similar topics. It's like a sales pitch. So it'll probably be the same topics, and he'll just tweak it here and there, just similarly to how any sales pitch is, right? You have the main topics and you just go with it, right? So could be. I don't know.
I'm going to be off cam for a second, but I am still participating. I do want to ask you guys.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. But look.
I'm off cam for a second, but you will be able to hear me. I do want to ask you guys, because I do have to give a little bit of pushback on some of the stuff that we talked about before we move into all these allegations that are going on.
I want to say we talked about Biden. No, fuck him. Let's get into the.
Wait, I'm not done. You still have to think about the allegations he has with his son, Hunter Biden.
Oh yeah,
I want to get into all of that, but we got to tackle one topic at a time, guys.
All right,
we can move past it. Henry said Joe Biden is selling us out. He talked about Operation Mockingbird, and he said that there was election lies. Now, I need you to elaborate a little bit more on those, Henry.
Well, I mean, we had talked about in the past, on the last couple episodes, about, his son, Hunter Biden. We know all about Hunter Biden, the laptop, him, having sexual relations with underage teenage girls. We definitely know he took money from Moscow. What was it? 1.5 million, I believe, from the mayor of Moscow. Which
3 million, I believe.
We know we already covered that he was also part of a Ukraine deal, like $6 million Ukraine deal. We also know he took money from China, and wasn't it Joe Biden? Didn't they catch Joe Biden? Him giving up names of like 60 CIA undercover agents in China got them killed. That pussy. So he's been selling us out.
I think it was 36, but
36,
all those claims, as far as a lot of people who are, you got to understand, it doesn't matter how much circumstantial evidence we may have come across. It doesn't matter how much you tie all that evidence together. Unless these people are convicted in corporate media or in court, nobody has, a lot of people in this country don't have any reason to believe any of that. So when you say that Joe Biden has sold this country out, you got to give people something tangible.
Yeah, so we definitely posted so much evidence in our previous episodes. We definitely have done. So you could definitely go back to some of our other episodes. But today, definitely because of voter fraud, we definitely got to play some. I don't even want Sidney Powell. Definitely got to play some Sidney Powell. Definitely got to play some Rudy Giuliani because they are coming out here with the facts and the evidence of what the fuck is really going on behind the scenes with this election fraud. So, and these are very high individuals, and I would trust these people over a
I don't,
media person.
I don't trust Giuliani as far as I could throw
I
him,
don't
and
trust
here's why.
nobody. I would say more. I said I trust them more. No, I'm saying you have to. That's why I'm saying you have to make a decision for yourself. So I don't fuck with a lot of shit Giuliani did. I don't fuck with. But when you see all the evidence
Let's
that
not
people are,
forget stop and frisk.
yeah, fuck yeah, obviously, he did a lot of bullshit in New York. I'm pretty sure he's a corrupt individual as well. But that doesn't mean that he's not bringing forth evidence against these specific individuals. That's not. And also when there's videos of people what throwing out fucking ballots, randomly finding ballots, and there's all this evidence of the actual Dominion voter system, you know,
Now,
tied to
a
Pelosi,
lot of people are gonna
tied
say
to
what
George
videos,
Soros,
Henry.
tied to
So
George Soros. So I'm just saying, we definitely gotta play some clips of those individuals today, just to at least have people hear the allegations again, because the
any
media is
any
saying that
any clips you want us to play, shoot them to me directly, and I'll make sure to do a screen share.
yeah, I got you.
So Nick, because you seem to be like me, the stance that I'm taking today, a little bit more impartial, and you tend to wait for concrete, undeniable evidence of these types of allegations, which
Yes, sir.
I'm not a I am a conspiratorial minded person, and that's because I'm not a trusting person. That doesn't mean I believe in every conspiracy theory. And then again, we always have to reiterate that there's a difference between conspiracy theory and the word conspiracy. I've come to the understanding that the overwhelming majority of Americans do not understand the difference between a conspiracy theory and conspiracy. Conspiracy is two or more people colluding to get something done with some level of secrecy. Now, all that being said, Nick, what are your current thoughts on all of this conversation about voter fraud, election fraud, attempted coups? What are your thoughts, Nick? I would like to know.
So I always I try to play devil's advocate all the time and look at the other side. But it's really hard to, just because there's only so much that can be considered a coincidence. And I think that it just doesn't seem like it's valid. I mean, from Pennsylvania to go overnight from Trump being in the lead by 500,000 votes, and then that same night Biden flew to Pennsylvania for some odd reason. I mean, he couldn't really do anything about anything really, because those votes were already in, and that's it. There's nothing that he could do about it. And then slowly but surely he took the lead by I don't know, I think he's at more than 100,000. So I feel like that's just such a weird coincidence that he flew to Pennsylvania that night, and then all of a sudden the next morning he started winning. But there's that. But like, all in all, I just wanna, like you said, I just wanna wait until the final moment, till it's concrete and it's in your face. At this point in time, everything is just too up in the air, and it could be possible that there's just people doing these things. Again, like I said, I want to believe that they're just people. So I mean, I know diehard people that hate Trump because they believe what the media says. So I can believe that if they were in those voting booths and they worked there, they would throw some Trump ballots out. I can believe that, and I don't think it would have anything to do with Biden specifically telling them to do it. I think they would just do it. So I don't think that there's a systemic thing going on here yet. I do think
You don't think that there's evidence of that you've seen thus far?
thus far, no. I feel like it is possible, completely possible, and it's plausible, but I don't want to. I'm not going to jump there just yet.
You can't
Before
jump
I
there.
get to
You can't jump there unless you
hold on
see it
one
for
hold on
yourself.
Hold on. Yeah, exactly, Henry. You're right. Before I get to that, I do want to say for the listeners, for the people who may not be aware, there's a corporate media narrative right now that voter fraud is both extremely rare, which I guess technically could be true depending on how you're looking at that information and what you count as rare. And then also there's a narrative that there was no voter fraud. So like if Trump is to tweet something right now, Twitter is fact checking him. I'm actually going to share a video with you guys in a little bit where Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg are being fucking grilled by electors this fucking week. This actually just happened this week. I do want to say every single election, especially here in Chicago where we are, there has been election fraud, but it's not isolated to here in Chicago. I'm not saying that, oh, Trump got way more votes than fucking Chicago is a blue city. We know that, and we know that there's enough people here where a lot of times it turns the state blue. To question. What I am saying though is the simple matter of the fact is there is election fraud in every single election. The question is not whether or not election fraud exists. The question is whether or not it is one, systemic, like Nick said, and two, whether or not it was enough to actually affect the outcome of the election. That being said, Luis, what do you feel about what you've heard thus far about election fraud and how these things have played out?
I feel that there is something that you should look at, right? The president also has every right to contest the results, and he should be given that full right to do so. And just because,
like Al Gore,
yeah, whatever. If that is the case, you know, it's one thing for Hillary Clinton to concede. You know, you can't compare that, right? Hillary and Donald Trump are obviously two different individuals, and Donald Trump wants to certify.
Well, hold on, Luis, because you brought up Hillary Clinton. Right now we're in 2020. I don't know that to this day that she's ever conceded the 2016 election.
She conceded by very fact of not going to the courts to litigate and go against the election results. That in itself is conceit without having to do so.
So it's
like missing a due date,
is what you're saying. Silence is consent.
Apparently, I mean, who's the president? Donald Trump, right?
Not my president, is what people say. Even the first 2 years of his presidency, I didn't pay attention to anything he did. I was like, fuck him with everybody else. Not even that I was believing the media. I had a different issue with the media, me personally, because I hated the way, if you guys actually remember, toward the last 4 years of Obama's presidency, a lot of unarmed civilians, black and white, were being fucking murdered by lawless cops. And the simple matter of the fact is that the media chose to show us predominantly people of color, mostly black, a handful of Hispanics, getting murdered by police. The issue, my biggest issue with that is because I was watching it so closely, I was seeing that this was not only happening to black people, not only happening to Hispanic people, it was also happening to white people. And the simple matter of the fact that the media chose to only show us it happening to minorities, I viewed that as them trying to sow division based on the fictional concept of race.
But it's also planning for the future. Look at this year, right? If they didn't do that, you wouldn't have had the reactions that we saw over the summer with the protests and the riots, and that was all planned, right? They planted the seed a long time ago, right? For you to have a certain perception of the world and police officers.
We plan for
that programming,
next
right?
year.
They've been programming you for a very long time.
We plan for this year. We plan for next year. But the so-called they, the proverbial they, the powers that be, the elites, these people plan 25, 50, 100 years in advance. They plan for what's going to happen with their great grandkids. And most of us, most humans on this earth, don't have the luxury to do that because
Most
we're worried
humans are
about
living
paying
paycheck
bills.
to paycheck. Yeah. Let alone an entire decade, right?
Generations.
No. I'm saying most people are living paycheck to paycheck, let alone like, the next couple of years. People are trying to see what people are
That's
trying to see how the year is going to end.
that's an unfortunate truth, what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. And in regard to the fraud, tomorrow is when we officially get to see certified election results. You just have to let it pan out right now. Right now, it's just like a competition, right? We're in the bottom of the fourth quarter, and they're reviewing the play, right? So, I honestly think
We're
that
in
there's a
film
lot
review
of
right now. The
issues.
play
Huh?
was contested, and we're in film review.
Correct. And it's just kind of weird how like all these votes came out of nowhere, and statistically some had to have been from Trump, right? You can't flip a coin thousands of times and have it be heads all the time, right? You have to have
Right.
some sort of ratio. And for all these votes just to be Biden, like blatantly Biden, like
Biden himself on election night said that it was for every 3 mail-in ballots, Trump got 1. He said like it was 3-1. But when those overnight ballots came in, there was a lot of fishy information, like they're saying a ton of people only filled in Biden's name in either Nevada or Arizona. I can't remember which one it is. For example, Trump got 8 or 900 ballots in which they only filled in his name and then nothing else. They didn't go red straight down or blue straight down. They only filled in his name and nothing else. In that exact same state, Biden got 95,000. That, if true, because it has been reported, but if true, seems to me like something that would be mathematically impossible.
Yeah.
Based on Biden saying it's 3-1.
Yeah, it's once you start looking at all the statistics behind it, there's some bad actors involved, and we need to get to the bottom of this so it is avoided. Every 4 years, it's the same story. It seems like every single time, right? So there should be a way to overcome these obstacles. I recommend voter ID, but obviously people are not going to want that because there's fraud going on and you can't do that. So I'm a little torn. I do believe that there's some fishy things going on. So I'm on that side of the boat.
Isaiah, so I did send a video of Sidney Powell, like in our Air Code Wish thing. So I mean, because none of us are going to be able to articulate it better than a national prosecutor and someone who's actually prosecuting the case itself. I think it's between two people. Between her and Giuliani. It's probably a whole bunch of motherfuckers actually.
Yeah. So she spoke today too. Is that
She's
the
the
video?
main one. Yeah, she spoke today. I did one from yesterday, but we kind of
Today, did you hear what happened with today?
Yeah, I've heard
With
it. Today.
Venezuela?
But, I just want to like kind of give the viewers like listen to this. She's the one actually prosecuting the case against these people. She's gonna be out here telling you what the evidence is for the voter fraud, because people sometimes have a hard time believing like regular people like us. Like they need somebody to articulate it maybe slightly better, and also someone that actually is involved in the case directly.
Attorney.
They want to hear her.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and screen share the video that Henry sent. Let's see if this plays without feedback, without a bunch of feedback. If it does play without a bunch of feedback, we'll be good to go here.
I could barely hear you though, bro, but yeah.
Oh shit, that's because the mic wasn't near my face. You can hear me better now, right?
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second here. All right, guys, let's see what Henry sent. Can you guys hear it?
Not that one. Not that one. The one right before that, the Sidney Powell one.
Can you hear it?
I couldn't, but at the beginning he barely says anything. I don't think, but no, it's a different one. But no, I can't hear shit.
Okay, cool. Let me redo the screen share. And if this don't work, then we're just a couple of assholes who don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Oh, it's over here. That's why. Dual screens, guys.
She actually came on camera today. They had a press conference. They're actually making
watched
fun of
that.
Rudy Giuliani because he had his hair dye coming down the side of his face or whatever that was.
I actually talked to Edwin about that earlier today.
Sidney, welcome.
Can you
I know
guys-
you've been
yeah.
handling a lot of the Georgia situation in Dominion, but your reaction to the situation in Michigan, please.
So that's an
You turn up a little bit.
and I would expect the entire Michigan board to reject the counts from the ballots. The election could not have been more
Can you hear it better now?
You can hear it, but it's a little low.
rigged than it was, and I think it also affected the race of Senator John James. The same patterns fall there. We're still doing statistical analysis of that race, but the math just doesn't add up for anything, and we know Dominion has a long history of rigging elections. That's what it was created to do to begin with. We've introduced the affidavit of a person who worked with Maduro, a high-ranking military officer who saw it all happen and explained how it worked. And it's out for the public to see on my Twitter feed.
While we have this up, guys, I do want to make it a point to state that Sidney Powell is a very respected lawyer in the law community, I guess I would say. Sidney Powell, she's not viewed as some right-wing conspiracy nut, or she is a person who has a career of being a straight shooter and a very I've heard lawyers describe her as she doesn't say shit unless she can prove it. So that being said, I'll continue to play it. Henry, I don't want to play this whole 10-minute thing. Is there any specific moments that I should skip around to?
She spin facts the whole time. I don't know exactly what time markers. I just skimmed through.
Okay.
Sidney Powell, number one. So don't tell me there's no evidence of fraud. We've got increasingly mounting evidence of significant fraud across multiple states that casts into question the validity of the elections in every swing state, including Nevada and Arizona and Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and it went beyond that too.
You know,
Side note, if you guys haven't heard,
It went
Where
beyond
she's-
that.
where she's talking about the Georgia fraud, 2 nights ago, something around 2,600 votes were found in one county, and they say the majority of those were for Trump, and somebody forgot to actually go ahead and put them into the system. And then the next day, which would have been yesterday, again, around a little bit over 2,000, less than 3,000 votes were found. So near 6,000 votes just weren't counted, and this is just out of 2 counties. All that being said, we do need to take this into account, because if it has happened in a handful of counties, then we have to extrapolate that across the country. And it doesn't matter if the votes are for Trump or for Biden. We, as American people, regardless of who we decide to vote for, deserve fair and honest elections. If we're all Biden supporters and Biden votes weren't being counted, we would be fucking furious. The same way, vice versa. And that's just in the name of fairness. I'm not sitting here saying anybody should feel any type of way about any candidate. What I'm saying is all of us should want transparent, fair elections. Whoever the fuck won needs to win.
I call a spade, bro. So that's just me. I don't be dancing around the bullshit, but I mean,
I feel you on that. But everybody doesn't understand the way that we speak, and not all of our listeners are familiar with us. These are a lot of these people. Sometimes they just come and they're like, oh shit, I fuck with these guys' opinions. I'm gonna start fucking with them. So we have to make people be aware that this is not some spur of the moment where some hardcore Trumpers and fuck Bidens and or some hardcore Biden fans. None of that is the case here. The simple matter of the fact is that we want to have open and transparent dialogue about the lack of transparency with the election process this year. Dominion, though, for those of you who don't know, Dominion has been rejected as a voting system by multiple states, Texas included. But PBS actually ran an an expose last year about all the faults with the Dominion voting system. The man who actually Sidney Powell talks about this today, not in this one that we're playing, but she talks about it in the press conference she did today with Giuliani, that the man who actually created the Dominion voting system says out of his mouth that any person who writes code, writes script, so basically the tech niggas, any one of them with a screwdriver in 7 minutes could make the vote count be whatever he wants it to be. And keep in mind, this woman is a lawyer. Her entire career stands on the line. She'll be one broke bitch after this if she's just a lying motherfucker that's a partisan piece of shit doing the bidding for the president. All that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hit play unless anybody has anything to add.
Regarding Dominion, you've raised this, and we saw the letter last night. People like Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar have raised significant concerns about Dominion. Now they're trying to make it seem like a right-wing, wacko conspiracy concern, even though people like PBS were raising serious issues about Dominion just before the election. I heard you say today, Dominion, the software was actually designed to be hacked. And I'm looking at one of the agreements they had with the County of Santa Clara on, this is a contract between them and Dominion. Item 226 allows staff to adjust tally based on review of scanned ballot images. Look, you're the lawyer, I'm no tech expert, but that sounds very, very funky to me.
Nick, you've been quiet for a while, so I want to know your opinion on this.
As far as the Dominion software goes, I think it's clear that that it was tampered with. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that the test was the 6,000 votes going for Democrat and then switching to Republican in 2 separate counties. I think that's obvious. And then as far as the all these news stations are pretty much saying that they're not. That nothing ever happened with the Dominion software, that they were just glitches and they weren't hacked at all. That's completely false, and it's provable to be false. Like, and not saying that I have the proof, I'm not saying that, but I do think that it's gonna come out within the next few days that it was completely mishandled. We're gonna put it that way. Not that somebody maliciously went in and hacked it, but somebody maliciously did from the inside mess with the Dominion software. Because
I think mishandled is the best word you could have used in that situation, because until the concrete data comes out, all we're going to be seen as is Trumpers or something along those lines if we say anything other than mishandled. My bigger issue is with people saying, there's no voter fraud, this is bullshit, this is Trump trying to pull off a coup. Because if the claims made by Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani that they say that they're going to prove in court, if those claims are true, then there absolutely is a coup.
Well, that
problem is it's not on the side that we think.
That would just be ignorant to say that there is none, because there's always voter fraud, and there will always be. There's always somebody that thinks that they could game the system. But It's the fact that is it enough? Is it a a huge amount or is it a little amount? And as far as that goes, I mean, you can't like you said, right now, as it stands right now, we don't have the evidence to say, if anything like that happened, but you do have the evidence to say that two memory cards in two separate counties were found with over 2,000 votes, 2,601 and 2,300 or something like that in the other one. And that's already a ridiculous amount. That's more than any other election, because 5,000, it's only ever gone 600 votes one way or the other. It's
So I
never
just want to comment something really quick. So these same people that are making allegations, they're saying it's up to about 38 million votes were mishandled. That's what they're saying. So it's gonna go well more than
Well,
6,000. They're
not
saying
necessarily. So that it's been mishandled, that's completely true, but there's a reason why. So let's just say hypothetically, if I were to take your 50,000 votes, let's just say, and I mishandled it by giving it to somebody else, and then they gave it to whoever they were supposed to give it to, that would be in the pile of mishandled. So it's not necessarily going to sway either or. And then there's a lot of the ballots, like just to let you know, because I don't know if you know this, the fraudulent vote count, if it's discovered that there was a lot of illegal ballots that were dropped off, that can't be overturned. I mean, those illegal ballots that are dropped off, you can't know, because they're going to be put in the pile of the same ballots. So it's all going to be counted the same way. So all they're going to do is do a recount. And
From my understanding, what you're saying, Nick, that is true. And that is also the reason that Trump and his attorneys are calling for legal votes only, and what they consider legal votes is anything that.
You're cutting out.
Yeah, so
And
I do
we
want to
lost
say
him.
that I do. So there's actually even like articles of, what is it?
All right.
The Dominion
Well-
voting software in connection with the Clinton Foundation, which is obviously a Democratic organization. So
That's
there's
true.
just a lot of things going on with that. And also the votes are actually going to Frankfurt, Germany. She's gonna actually talk about that here, where the votes from the Dominion system, which had 29 or 30 states using their system. The votes were actually going to Frankfurt, Germany, in a company owned by Spain, and they're the ones who are controlling our votes, and they can change the votes. And they develop some. They talk about it, but I'm just saying this is what these people are saying.
Yeah, because the server rack has to be somewhere. And if it's going to be in a different country, that obviously is going to have hella suspicion. But to be honest, there's no actual way of knowing. You could go on their server rack, but it's not going to have a log of what changes that they do. So realistically, you still wouldn't know. The only thing you would truly know is the physical ballots. And then if you got illegal ballots, depending on whether or not that state has authorized that they don't need the signatures can be off and they'll still accept it, or you don't have to write your name on it or anything like that. Depending on how those states operate, it's gonna dictate on whether or not they're gonna accept them. Now, as far as the illegal ballots that were dropped off, those cannot even be counted, just because we don't know which ones were dropped off and which ones weren't. So it's just going to be recounted, but that's going to do nothing for a difference in numbers. You know what I'm saying? Could everybody hear me or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as it stands
Yeah,
right now,
no, I heard you. I don't want you guys hearing all the wind and shit, but I did hear you. And I think that you're making completely rational points. And
I'm sorry.
my
you're
objective
still
here
cutting
is
out.
to show people.
You're very choppy right now, dude.
Yeah, you sound bad. Wait till you come back in, bro.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
no, I hear you, Nick, and you're making valid points. It's just there's because you know about.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. But there's so much
All right, cool.
coming different ways. So it is the paper ballots. It is the software itself. It is them burning ballots. It is them, like, it's literally so, like she's talking about. There's so much like evidence on voter fraud. It's wild. It's wildness. At least alleged voter fraud, according to what she's saying. But I happen to respect her opinion, and I've seen some of the evidence for myself when it comes to ballots being thrown in the garbage or burned and shit like that. So I've seen all that type of shit with my own eyes. So
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify on that point, I do have a very reliable source. I'm just gonna say he's a family member of mine that used to work for a what is it, like a, what do they call it? Alderman. He used to work for the alderman and used to put the signs up and all that stuff. And the alderman got him into the places that count the ballots, and they said I mean, this is Chicago, but as crooked as Chicago is, it's way more crooked in there, because essentially what they do with Republican ballots is you just toss them. You either toss them or you don't count them. And because there's going to be such a huge disparity of votes, they won't get the recount. And that's why Chicago has been or Illinois has been Republican. I mean Democrat for so long, and it's just primarily because of that. They won't go Republican.
It's actually funny that you bring that up. And if anyone goes to check out the live stream that Giuliani and Sidney Powell did today, one of the things that they were talking about the history of voter fraud and how there's precedents have been set, not presidents, a precedent has been set of voter fraud across the country, but Chicago is one of the places where it's been blatant for a long time. And she even went as far as to say JFK only won Illinois because of Mayor Daley holding back those Republican votes that you were talking about just now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just gonna. I could tell you off air, who it is, but I'm gonna tell you that I am 100% certain that this happens, and not only it's a matter of like it's as close as my identical twin brother. Let's just put it that way. Like, he told me that he would, because he worked for him, he just purposely threw them out. He did not count them, just threw them right into the trash. And because, I mean, this was maybe 15 years ago, so 16 years ago, so it was a long time ago. So maybe they were more efficient with catching it now, maybe. But as far as it stands right now, I just wanted to go through this real quick. So right now, supposedly it's 306 to 232 in electoral votes. So 306 to Biden, 232 to Trump. So he needs a total of 38 votes to go his way so he can get the 270. Obviously 38 is going to come off of his 306, Biden's 306. But all they need is 270 to win. And that gives them the majority. So right now, they have lawsuits in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada. Pennsylvania is looking pretty rough. They found hundreds of thousands of votes that were mishandled, but it doesn't look like they're all gonna flip. It just looks like it's just been mishandled.
They may need to send it up to the Supreme Court, from my understanding, right?
Yep. So the as far as the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they already ruled that it's fine, that everything's going to remain the same. So now if you wanted to push it up the chain of command and go to the federal Supreme Court, then they can issue because the lawsuit is essentially describing that ballots were illegally turned in past the point that they were supposed to be. Now the Supreme Court ruled that it was fine. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that it was fine, but they're pushing for that it's unconstitutional.
And just to add to what you're saying, not to cut you off, this is actually against Pennsylvania state law, correct?
Yes. So it's against their state law. So because of that, they're going to push it up the chain of command and go to the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court. And if they overturn it, as you guys know, I hope you guys know, if you were following the election, which I know you guys were, he was in the lead by 500,000 votes. So anything past that would be thrown out. Those votes wouldn't be counted essentially. So if that were to happen, then I think it was like 1,300,000, as far as my memory serves, would be thrown out, and then he would just regain the lead by 500,000 votes, which will get him 20 electoral college votes, which still doesn't really do, it doesn't win.
But that's assuming that none of the other lawsuits go anywhere.
Yes. Okay. So then you have Georgia's, Michigan, and Nevada. Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada are still in process. Georgia's doing a recount right now. The Secretary of State did claim that they were going to do a recount. I'm not sure about the lawsuit going through, but I know the recount's going to go through. Michigan and Nevada. Michigan's already said that they're not going to do it. The recount.
Doesn't the governor there fucking openly hate Trump?
Yeah.
Like, which I believe you have full right to do.
Yeah.
Just you also have a fucking job to do.
They're trying to impeach her. Now, from my understanding, so they're trying to collect enough evidence of a nationwide scandal fraud issue, because they know the individual states, so they're going to try to bring it to that. So under my understanding, there's going to be two ways. Like if they rule that all these ballots were, fraud.
They actually don't want to. They actually don't want to get it to the nationwide. If they get it to a nationwide scandal, then it's going to be the Congress that decides who's the president. And then Congress is...
It will go to the Supreme Court, and it would be between... No, and then from what I'm understanding, the two ways that it would go was they would deem all of the fraudulent votes, whatever fraudulent, and only count the actual votes, the legal votes, and Trump would win that way. Or the 12th Amendment says that it would go to the states, and then each state would get one vote. And there's 31 of the states are Republican governors, and the other 19 are Democratic. Now, there are probably a couple of Republicans that will still vote for Biden. They're probably on, rhinos or whatever, Republicans in name only. But given that, it would still look pretty favorable. That
by that exact same logic, it's much smaller, but there's also Democrats, for example, like Vernon Jones from Georgia. And Vernon Jones is a black man, a Democrat in Georgia, and he's making it a point to make his voice heard. And he's saying, I'm watching voter fraud go on. So obviously you're not going to see that on corporate media that has a bone to pick with Trump. And again, fuck all political candidates. At the beginning of this, Nick said something along the lines of he thinks that it's all fucking, they're putting on a show. I agree with you, Nick. I use the verbiage political theater.
I do as well.
All right. Can I drop some knowledge right now?
Some facts right now. Luis coming in with the gems. Everybody else mute your shit.
I posted some articles in the WhatsApp, Isaiah. If you can just pull up from latest to most recent, the first one being the EN24 News. This goes back to my ongoing theory about Chapo, right? So if you want to pull that article up, so essentially Chapo snitched on a bunch of people, right? So he started to snitch. One of the people that he snitched on was the former Secretary of Defense of Mexico, General Salvador Cienfuegos, right? So this dude was arrested and brought to New York. And it actually sent shockwaves because they did not let the Mexican government know. So this guy comes into the US and gets arrested, and he was actually just, all charges were dropped by Attorney General William Barr recently. And we'll get back to that in a little bit, but why you're unmuted, Isaiah, but why did he get his charges dropped? And if we see here, if you pull
isn't Barr's dad in the conspiracy world? In the conspiracy world, if you tie people together and follow the money, isn't Barr's dad old school deep state?
I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'm not sure, but look at the next article, which is Sidney Powell. Henry brought up Sidney Powell too. If you look at the quote, and mind you, this is from yesterday, the 17th of 2020. If you look at the quote, I've just gotten some stunning evidence from a firsthand witness, say a high-ranking military officer who was present when the systematic was designed in a way, and I'm just going to read you some of these statements if you don't mind. And she goes on to read some of the statements, right? Now, if you pull up the next article here, it goes to show you that the former Mexican, defense minister, charges were dropped, right? So what is going on here? Why are charges being dropped? And why is Sidney Powell saying that they have high-ranking military officer, right? Now, if we go to the next one, it's a CBS article. The CEO of the voting technology company Smartmatic said that Wednesday, the results of Venezuela's election were off by at least 1 million votes. 1 million votes. The CEO of Smartmatic, same system in the U.S. This guy.
I know while we're
Maduro,
on the topic, not only is it not an American company, even though it may have been funded by American money, and that's probably taxpayer dollars. Not only is it a South American company, but the data is actually
European company.
Right, that's what I was about to say. Isn't it Germany or something that actually counts the votes?
Germany, it's a Spanish company, so it was owned by Spain, I believe Barcelona, a company in Barcelona, Spain, but the votes were being sent to Frankfurt, Germany. And they affected the Venezuelan, and Sidney Powell in that clip explained this too with the Venezuela shit. Also, they've rigged the Philippines elections. They're tied to a whole bunch. They've been doing this shit all over the world, these systems.
And it's not even something new. For those who may be watching or listening, we do got a hard out in about 15 minutes. I got to wrap. So I do want to make sure to get everybody's closing statements. And I know, had I known that we were going to go this deep, honestly, I would have blocked off more time. But I got an international call to make shortly. So we got to wrap in about 15 minutes. Anybody got any haymakers? Send them to me on.
Finish up real quick. So this just goes, put the pieces together, right? We mentioned the high-ranking attorney, right? Mm-hmm. She's questioning, and she stated a high-ranking military officer. She didn't say it was U.S.
Right.
She didn't say it was, it's a high-ranking guy, right?
Right.
This guy had relations with Maduro, who ultimately
top secret clearances.
Who ultimately approved the Smartmatic system to be implemented in Venezuela. And now this guy, the defense minister, was obviously there when it was invented, right? Because they need to control the geopolitical regime, right? In order to keep control and keep pushing drugs. That's why he was arrested. He was pushing drugs. But he obviously snitched as well, and all charges were dropped, right? And to be honest, in the first article I showed you, it even goes to tell you that the ex-president of Mexico can't step in the United States right now because he's going to get detained. So he can't go to, New York or LA where, a lot of these officials go. I don't know if you're familiar with Mexican politics, but they're crossing the border all the time. Mm-hmm. And
even Chapo, for example, like obviously he's not a politician, but when Chapo eventually did get caught, he had multiple, he had a different identity for his time in America, correct?
Yeah.
He have a different ID. His daughter was born here. His wife was a citizen type shit.
Yeah. I mean, think about they arrest this guy. They start interrogating him. What do you know about Maduro? What do you know about Smartmatic? Boom. Light turns on. Oh, tell me more. Oh, right. Really? Oh, shit. No.
Oh, no. Are you talking about the military politician? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were talking about Chapo, because for those who don't regularly listen, Luis has a long running theory, like he said. And his thing is, if you pay attention to the series of events and stop looking at things like isolated incidents, Trump always on record. Trump knew about and had an issue with and went to the FBI about Epstein in 2008.
Yes.
As soon as Trump got in, boom, Chapo goes down. Shortly after Chapo goes down, boom, Epstein goes down.
They were in the
Epstein-
same jail alive.
right, and a
Alive.
lot.
And
so-
Manafort too.
So from what I heard, and I don't know how true this is, what I heard, Chapo was moved somewhere to like Colorado or something prior to Epstein being put in the jail, but they were in the same jail. I don't know if it was at the same time. Also, it's all hearsay because New York Times could put some shit out, but does that necessarily make it true? I don't know, Henry. Operation Mockingbird says it don't.
Man, I hate this because there's so many different topics that are going on right now, and I would love to, if we were to dive in only to just straight politics.
Right.
There's so much that I wanted to talk about as far as the bills that are going to be passed, that have been passed, and as far as like, you know, all the different options that can happen as of right now for all your listeners. Like I was saying, if I could just for like, you know, 5 seconds.
Come on, let's rock.
So it's 306 to 232. So there's a 38 vote count that needs to change. If 38 votes, electoral college votes switch, then it'll change the presidency. So Pennsylvania's 20, Georgia's 16, Michigan 16, Nevada 6. And all 4 of those states have lawsuits pending. Arizona and Wisconsin, they're just, I guess they're doing a recount. I'm not sure. I know as far as I kept reading, there's no lawsuits in Arizona nor Wisconsin, but they had some weird things going on with their election. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But just the big 4, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, he's going to need 3 of them. Essentially, he needs Pennsylvania and he just needs 2 other ones. So he needs 3 out of the 4 to flip. If he gets 3, then Trump stays president. If he does not get 3, then Biden becomes president. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it, just because, like I said, the biggest thing is that, you know, it looks like fraud is so apparent. That's what it looks like. It looks like there's a cover-up going on with the media, and it just looks like it's right in everybody's faces. For anybody that has even the slightest, you know, I don't even know how to, like,
doubt
intelligence. Yeah, like just a little bit, you would blatantly see that something's going on. Like I said, as far as it being systemic or it being just people being people and trying to, I'm not sure yet. But
you know what's really funny to me, and then I'm gonna ask everybody's predictions on how it's gonna play out, and then we're gonna wrap it out. What's funny to me is, keep in mind, I didn't vote because I genuinely felt like it was in his favor. I felt like Trump was a joke candidate because although I knew that the media portrayed minorities in a certain way, although I knew that the news can't be trusted in a lot of aspects, I didn't think that they'd be on dirt like that with a rich white man. I was kind of falling under that guise of or that thought process that was given to me by Operation Mockingbird, that white males that are rich are the end all be all and they could never do them dirty. And I remember like seeing pictures of Trump at Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's daughter's wedding and all these different things. And I was just like, these motherfuckers are friends. I don't trust any of these assholes. Fuck them. I didn't vote. Now, all that being said, we got to keep in mind that while I have that thought process, and probably thousands, if not millions of other people have that thought process, for 4 years, they told us there was Russian interference. Which that whole case fell apart. They told us that this motherfucker's a Ukrainian agent. That whole shit fell apart. And then he released the transcript so you could see the entire transcripts of the call. And they still couldn't lock this motherfucker up. Right now, I guarantee you, if you go to Facebook and type in Trump's going to jail when he loses, you're going to find a bunch of posts about that. And I can almost guarantee that that's not what's going to happen. Whether he wins or loses, he ain't going to jail. Just like how, I don't know, Hillary ain't in jail and Trump said lock that bitch up, and I was right along with him. And for those of you who don't know, for those of you who aren't conspiracy theorists or just don't know anything and want to know more, go look up what the people of Haiti have to say about the Clinton family, because nobody, no country has been devastated more directly by the Clintons than Haiti. And honestly, my heart goes out to fucking all of the people who have claims against them who just get ignored, because realistically, the Clinton crime syndicate is way too fucking powerful. And we're not talking about Democrats or Republicans or none of that shit. All I'm saying is show me where there's people on the internet stating that Trump came and started trying to kidnap children, or Trump's charity, employees from Trump's charity were kidnapping children. I haven't seen that. And I would air it right here. I would put it on my podcast. I have no problem slamming this nigga. Henry, how many times did we go in on him about the Central Park 5 situation?
Yeah, quite a few times. We went on him on a couple other issues too. But you were talking about predictions and shit like that.
Yeah, so let's get into that and then let's wrap.
Conspiracy theorists like us, everything that's happening right now, we knew.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm a conspiracy factualist.
Same shit. So conspiracy factualists, we already knew this is literally, we know this is gonna happen already. Like, this is not a surprise to us, and we also, if we're going off of what the evidence is looking like, it really is looking like these people really cheated. And the official sources who announced the actual electoral votes or any of that information hasn't released any information. And the federal election commissioner is saying there's obvious voter fraud. Mm-hmm. So the media is saying that we have a president-elect is clearly,
which is hold on 1 second. Before any election fraud, voter fraud, or anything like that, nothing matters until December 14th, because that is when the electorate votes.
But I think the official source said there's no winner, so you can't say that Trump was a winner or Biden was a winner. You can't.
Right.
The official sources haven't said anything of the sort.
No, the Associated Press said they called it for Biden.
So conspiracy theorists know that's a joke, but there's a lot of people out here that really think they get their news from the New York Times and CNN and MSNBC. They think they're watching actual news.
So while you're on your prediction kick, then
let me do my
if you could do me a favor, and we already know that you said nothing has been confirmed yet, and all legal facts says nothing has been confirmed yet. Suppose crazy hypothetical here for you guys. Another 3-4 weeks of President-elect Biden says this, President-elect Biden says this from his bullshit office that means nothing, according to Luis, and I agree with him. What do you guys anticipate happens once all of these people find out that not only was there voter fraud and all those votes have to get thrown out, but Biden is not president, and we have 4 more years of Trump?
That's part of my prediction. So
let's hear it.
So, look, for me, I'm not too much of a betting man, but if I were to have to bet on the outcome of this election, especially with the evidence I've seen, obvious voter fraud. You go to the Supreme Court in any facet, unless the Supreme Court is corrupt, if they're going off the evidence itself, Trump is going to be the winner in every facet of the case. There's so much voter fraud is wild. So whatever. People who are worrying about Trump being president, I wouldn't be too much worried about it. I mean, you do have to have a little small reservations because these people are very evil, corrupt individuals who can manipulate a lot of shit. But right now, it's looking like, based off the evidence, Trump is going to be our president. When they announced all the voter fraud shit and all this other, because you know what, fuck voter fraud. It's not even about that. So that's like the very minuscule issue here. They're doing all of this because of the other allegations and other things going on, other court cases that of crimes against humanity that they have done over the years, which is wildness in itself. But I don't want to get too much into that. I don't know, our viewers or
We'll,
whatever.
we'll do another podcast on
How
that,
far down
maybe
the rabbit
even
hole
this
they are.
weekend.
But I just want to know that it's not just about this election. There's a lot of other evil, other shit that these corrupt individuals have done. That is why they're doing all of this, putting on this show because they have to, because or else they're done for. But once they do that, the media is gonna portray, and so you're gonna see all over social media. They've already censored everything. They're gonna censor the fuck out of us even more, and then they're gonna push this narrative that Trump was a dictator, and they're gonna get, unfortunately, some of our peers. Not I won't say our peers, but people in our communities who are less inclined and more easier susceptible to bullshit or the mainstream media, and they're gonna be rioting in our neighborhoods. They're gonna be rioting. They're gonna be looting like they did, after the George Floyd incident. So if you're watching this, hey, don't do that goofy ass shit, please. But that's it. That's it. That's my prediction.
Okay, so let's get Nick, let's get Luis, and then I'm gonna wrap us up. Nick, let us know your predictions for how you think things will play out right now, and how you think things will play out if the states are turned.
So I guess my prediction. All right, Pennsylvania. They lost. They got to overturn it in the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court. I want to say that he's gonna get Pennsylvania. If I was to put a percentage on it, I would say I'm like 60% sure he's gonna get Pennsylvania. I'm a little bit more, sure on that. As far as Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Georgia already did the recount and it stood the same. But I mean, I don't know about the lawsuit or anything like that. I know the Michigan, they dropped the lawsuit, and they were withdrawing that lawsuit. So I think Michigan's a goner. And Nevada had so many things wrong with it. I feel like they're gonna give it to Trump. So if that's the case, then it's pretty much just on Georgia. So I want to say I'm kind of thinking that I don't know, man. It's like a 50-50, honestly. As far as like if everything overturns, I feel like there's gonna be chaos in the streets, but I feel like it's still so close. Pennsylvania's gonna be overturned in my mind. Pennsylvania's gonna be overturned. Nevada's gonna be overturned, and it's in between Georgia and Michigan, which Michigan they already lost. So Georgia's the last one. If he wins Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Nevada, it's over. And I think he's gonna win Pennsylvania. I think he's gonna win Nevada. Georgia's the only one that's like kind of hit or miss.
How do you think the public responds?
The public's gonna respond in an outcry automatically, because as far as we know, and I feel like you guys are all intelligent people on this podcast, and for all of the listeners out there, I feel like we all know which side provokes. We know that there's a left and a right, there's Republican and Democrat. We're all just people, but there's one group of people that commits to riling people up, that commits to identity politics and fueling this divide and fueling this like outrage, and that's Democrat. So I feel like the DNC is for sure gonna start pushing on every media.
No, not the DNC that fucked Bernie twice.
They're gonna push that outrage. They're gonna push that he stole the election, and they're gonna push a whole bunch of more conspiracy theories that Trump is gonna have to deal with for the next, I want to say, 2 years, and then people are gonna die back on that.
Are you calling Russian collusion a conspiracy theory, even though there was no evidence that actually held up in court?
Not only was there no evidence, it was actually proven that they found on that same laptop, they found that Hillary Clinton was colluding with the FBI to make it up. But I see stuff like this. It's considered a conspiracy theory, but you guys got to understand, being from intelligence in the Marine Corps, like I know for a fact there's certain things that are top secret clearance, certain things that will affect relationships between country to country, which is what top secret clearance is. Top secret clearance is information that will affect relations from country to country. Secret clearance is just within this country. So top secret clearance, with that, I believe that nobody will know about it. The media has, like, it's against the law. The media can't even
It's not going to be an open court public hearing when it's something
not at
that
all.
affects foreign relations, right?
Me and my dad had an argument about this a bunch of times, and my uncle saying that Hillary Clinton was going to go to jail if Trump won. And I said, you don't understand whether or not she deserves to, whether or not Obama deserves to, for all the things that he's done and all the things that she's done.
Or Bush or McCain, because we don't want people thinking that you're just because you're not a black person.
True.
So if black people see this and they think that I'm some coon fucking tap dancer for Trump, because that's what I'll be called, like, if people see this, they need to understand that you don't actually give a shit about these people. And you're saying for the positions that they held, did the shit that they do,
nothing will come out of it. Nothing
Right.
will come out of it. You cannot prosecute. It's gonna be as funny. I'm telling you, if you go to a court hearing like that, it's gonna be as funny as, so what happened? And then as soon as she starts talking, or as soon as the person starts talking, it'll be like, so I went to, I'm sorry, but this cannot be said in the court. And then they're gonna say, okay, where, why did you do it? So I did it because, I'm sorry, but this cannot be reviewed in the court. And literally she could just do that with everything because it's all top secret clearance.
No different than pleading the fifth, right?
Yeah, it's not even pleading the fifth at that point. It's you cannot talk about it. That clearance goes beyond what
the public has access to.
Yeah, and not even just the public, the judge, the state attorney, the prosecutor, the defense, everybody cannot know that.
And this is why unmasking is a thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean it's why that will never happen. It's why the Clintons will always be protected, because the information that they have is way too valuable and it cannot be blown up. Literally,
even though Hillary kept that extremely important top secret information on an unsecure server on her personal laptop.
That's a big thing, which is why that you can do conclusive evidence off of that logical
deductive reasoning is what you're talking about. Exactly. Deductive reasoning.
Yeah, you can deduce easily that she was up to something. I don't know what the
nefarious is the word you're looking for.
There you go. She was up to something nefarious because, believe me, bro, you have maybe 10 briefings a month. If you have this clearance, you have 10 briefings a month. And even just to get the clearance, you have so many briefings just to let you know what you can and can't do and what you can and can't say and how you move information like that.
Nick, I'm unfamiliar with military policy on debriefing, but I will tell you that we have an episode coming out soon with a gentleman who he's a rapper now, musician now. He goes by the name Vino, Bad Luck Vino. And he was actually he was literally an expendable is the way that he explained himself. He was given he studied water purification when he went to the military. He was given a blowtorch when he got to Afghanistan, and they told him to fucking burn down the fields of fucking weed and I think opium. And I say all that to say, he explains to us in the podcast how after he witnessed something that still is the American public is not privy to, he was given multiple debriefings, and so was the rest of his platoon, and they were all given them separately and together. That sound about right to you?
That sounds exactly right. They wouldn't even let you. After you go on a mission, you come back and you brief your commander and all. That doesn't even happen. You do that right away so that the information is fresh in your head, so that any reconnaissance, any information that you have, you give it all. So what you've seen out there, what you did out there, everything, you give it all to your command or somebody in your chain of command. And that wouldn't even happen. If you've seen something out there, that people will come up to you right away and take you out of that situation and tell you what you can and can't say to your commanding officer, what you can and can't say to everybody. So realistically, that happens more often than you guys would think. It happens all the time. So that
all right, Nick.
Go ahead.
Nick, I definitely appreciate you giving that insight from a military perspective. Henry, I think you came with the fucking facts today. Luis, you dropped some facts today too. Nick, not to say that you didn't, just to say that fucking these guys just, threw some sources for us to look at. I didn't either, so I'm not, shitting on anybody. Luis, if we could get your predictions for how this shit's going to pan out, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, because I think that we did some good work today, and I think that at the very least, we can start some conversations. And that's what's most important about what we're doing here today, and I need people to understand that. We're sitting here trying to have conversations that the media will tell you are not important, but I think that everybody on this call would agree that these conversations we're having are extremely important.
Sure. Yeah, definitely very important to keep everyone engaged. I think it's just going to go down to the Supreme Court, honestly. But if things do change and they appear that, at first everyone was super negligent about fraud, but now it's starting to shed to light. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm Team Trump. I think that there's going to be a huge reversal. Consciousness from a global perspective is just going to reverse, and ultimately it's just going to be very ugly. I think it's starting to look ugly now, but I think there is a chance that Trump wins, and I think that is going to happen.
Hey guys, I can't thank you guys enough for doing this shit with me. Like, I think that right now more than ever, it is so important for men of color, or like Nick, for example, he's Greek, and you guys kind of fit into hella boxes because you like, you motherfuckers are hella colors as far as Greek people go. I think that it's extremely important for us to have a military gentleman. We got two Hispanic men who are sitting here saying that they don't give a shit about Trump, and they're not sitting here fucking caping for Trump. But what they are saying is they give a shit about truth, and they give a shit about how this all plays out, because it affects all of us. I'm a black man sitting right here. We listen to Luis read off hella racist shit that this motherfucker Biden said. And I would make the argument any day of the week that racist words don't mean as much as racist actions. I could call fucking me a nigger, somebody a spick, somebody a fucking cracker. I could say all of these fucking racial epithets, but I'm saying those, not calling anybody those. I am not spewing hate speech. I'm saying it to say, just like George Carlin, it's not about the words that you say, it's the intent you use them with. That being said, I'm not sitting here trying to tell people how they should feel. None of us are doing that. None of us are sitting here saying how people should feel or think or any bullshit like that. But what we are doing is we're proving that there's a reason that there's a conversation that should be had. And my opinion's fucking irrelevant. I think we got three gentlemen here who've given their opinions, and I think we've, at the very least, broached topics that we should have gone farther into. I just, honestly, we were supposed to be done an hour ago. Like, I didn't think it was going to go this long, but shit, like, that's how shit pans out, and I'm rocking with you guys. But at a certain point, I do got to stop, and this happens to be that point, guys. Go and check out our episode that we did, the Global Economic Reset with John Truman Wolf. Go and check out the episodes that we've did with a friend of the network, Paige Flowers. She's a fucking dope content creator. She's a very spiritual sister. I fucking love her. Nick, you got to fucking check her shit out. She is so fucking dope. She's talking about so many important fucking topics right now. She's talking about, more so than anything else, becoming sovereign, understanding what it means to be sovereign, understanding that we are born with the right to be sovereign, and understanding that every government in this world, not just ours, but every government in this world is against humans being sovereign. And because the literal definition of government is to govern your mentality, to control your thoughts. None of us want that. And I don't think that anybody on either side really wants that unless you have a clear and obvious agenda to fuck over the people. I very much appreciate you guys. Every one of you gentlemen is fucking great. Luis, your fucking virtual background looks so goddamn astounding. I'm fucking furious that fucking I don't have that shit. Like, Nick, I appreciate you, bro. Every single time you hop in one of these podcasts, you add something new to the conversation that we may not have had. You add a perspective that we may not have had. There's a lot of nuance to the way that you look at things. Henry, you're a little bit hardcore, kind of like I am when I decide to hop in my bag. So you and I kind of have personalities that'll be hard for people to fucking grasp onto if they're not familiar with the way that we speak or the way that urban culture fucking views topics. Luis, hey, this nigga built hella walls, bro. Side note, Luis is actually, keeping for the listeners who can't see any of us, Luis is a Mexican man. Henry is also Hispanic. I am the most melanated person on this podcast right now. Luis is actually the person who made me realize or take a second look at whether or not a border wall was racist. And I personally believe that nobody can be illegal on stolen land. But that's an entirely different conversation for an entirely different time and an entirely different subset of people. All those things being said, if anybody has any closing remarks, now would be the time to make them. Definitely go check out mogulminds.net. That's where all of our podcasts, that's where our e-commerce store is, all of our shirts, all of our bags, all of our everything is there. There's so many ways to support us. And if you fucked with the information that we gave you today, if you want more of what we gave you today, there's only one way to get us to do this more regularly. And it really boils down to if you guys can support us enough for us to fucking make the time to do this shit. Nick, appreciate you, brother. You got anything else? Any last words?
Again, like I always say, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for letting me come on here, and thank you for the awesome conversation. I live for these conversations with, you know, awesome minds, with mogul minds, and I live for the conversations with the best perspectives that, you know, like, you know, just you guys, you know, can give me. I'm gonna dwell on this, and I'm gonna like just be pondering this. I'm probably gonna watch this over again and
share it with your friends.
Of course, and I'm just gonna be. I honestly, I love these conversations because open-minded people is, you know, the best type of people to be around.
Much appreciated, bro. Henry, do you have any final words?
Yeah, one, you know, again, great conversation, you know, and Nick, yeah, you know, you do bring a different aspect, so we do appreciate you having you on board. We look forward to, you know, inviting you on all of our future, you know, segments or whatever. You're always welcome. Thank you for coming on board. Two really quick, since we're talking about the website and merchandise. If you guys, you know, have any suggestions or any reviews or anything like that, we're open to all that. You know, the merchandise is pretty new. We just got it up there. So
Henry, they can contact you by hitting that About Us section, right?
Yeah, About Us. Yep, you definitely can. Definitely just reach out. You know, if you guys have any, you know, ideas or be like, hey, this shirt looks trash, bro. Can you try it like this? Anything like that type of shit. We're very open to that type of information. So please.
That's a slick ass crew neck you got on. You got them on the website?
Yeah. This logo is on there as well in t-shirt form, hoodie form, you know, different type of merchandise for that. But yeah, you know, definitely give us feedback. We want to hear your feedback. You know, we do this for you guys, so we definitely would like to get your feedback on that as well. And
essentially, he's saying join the conversation, guys.
Join the conversation. And then really quick, just talking about this topic, just know that regardless of what the outcome of this election, it won't be the end. There's going to be a lot of I think there's going to be a weird time in our history. I think there's going to be a lot of weirdness going on regardless of who wins or what's going to happen.
I think this is going down in the history books as well.
So just everyone keep your head on a swivel, believe in humanity. You know,
honestly, I think the last thing that you said was the most important thing you could have said. I don't know a better way to end. Believe in fucking humanity, guys. Luis, any closing statements that you got for the listeners, brother?
Just stay vigilant, keep the attention going, and don't forget we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and this is all for a reason, right? So keep your ears close to the ground. If you see something, say something. Right now we're
Scream something. Fuck it. Say that shit loud as fuck.
We're very divided right now, so it's always good to understand the other side or try to see their perspective, because that's exactly what, again, the proverbial they want is division. So in this dualistic society, just keep in mind that the other person is a human and they have a different perspective, and it's always good to hear a different perspective.
Are you saying that not all people who disagree with you are racist rednecks?
No, yeah.
What?
So just keep that in mind, and take everything with a grain of salt, because we do, as Ide's favorite rapper Drake says, YOLO, right? We only live
YOLO.
once, so.
Hey guys, much appreciated. I appreciate every single person who decided to tune in. I don't give a fuck if you tuned in for 30 seconds, 30 minutes, or the entire thing. I appreciate every single one of you. Obviously, I appreciate the people who stayed longer more, but that's just me being honest. Every single person that has anything to say to us, anything that you think you can add, any conversations that you think we should have, go to mogulminds.net. Hit us on the contact us page. We'll have those conversations. We touch base with people. We might not get back to you right away, but we will touch base with you. We do not ignore people who support us, because this is a grassroots movement. We very much appreciate you guys. Mogul Minds is not just the people associated with the network. Mogul Minds is all of us. Mogul Minds is the people interested in having conversation and dialogue that'll expand on what we're watching with this fake political theater, right, Nick? So all that being said, guys, there's nothing more that we can ask of you. There's nothing more that we got to say today. We're going to make it a point to start doing these more frequently. Maybe we could get another one cracking for Saturday. We'll probably, if we do some on a Saturday, it'll probably be with Diamond. Go check her out at Ellie Suisa. Fucking, she be doing numbers and shit. People love looking at that girl. Fucking, if we do another episode this week, it'll be Saturday. Come check us out. Join the conversation. If you want to hop in the group chat, just like Nick, all he did was tell me, hey, bro, I'd love to be on a podcast. What I do, I put Nick in a group and I said, anytime you want to fucking hop in, come hop in. And that is how we operate. So all this being said, much appreciated. You guys are fucking loved. I love every single one of the people that decides to support us, every single one of the people that decides to hop in. We've been Mogul Minds, and you guys have been great.
Later, guys.